Hey everybody. If you're joining a couple of seconds after I've gotten started, that's totally okay. It's always kind of hard to start these right on time because there's buffering that it goes through and everything like that. I see that we've got one person online. Welcome back. So today on the In Step with God channel, we're just going over. I'm going to be kind of walking through um, some of what God has been doing and kind of where I'm being led in this next season. So, we're going to be talking about the book review that we're going to get started on after we finish the Fault Line series. And then I'm going to talk about a couple. Um, a couple of different projects that are happening, and then just some general ministry updates. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, as most of you watching this are probably familiar, um, I am super thankful to Phil and Christy Carlson, who generously gave me this mic. I've been using this for all of the newer podcast content and to kind of show you like the drastic difference that this has made. Um, so this is me basically without the mic. A little bit clearer audio tone because I'm still using the mic, but um this is the sound that you guys have gotten used to because of it. It's a it's the same, it's still me, but it's a little bit easier to listen to. So I'm super thankful to them for providing this. Um, and so let's get into kind of what God's been doing. So for one thing, something that has been hugely impactful has been the just kind of this beautiful growth that we're seeing at SMU's campus. For those of you who don't know, I am finishing up my undergraduate degree in religious studies at Southern Methodist University this fall. I'm graduating in December. I'm walking in December, and I'll be starting at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in January. Um, so SMU is seeing an explosive growth in terms of the campus ministries. There are some things that I can't really talk about on the university administration side that are happening, and those are really, really exciting, but I can't quite talk about those yet. But as soon as that information goes public, I'll be talking about that as well in various outlets. Um, so what I do want to say is based on kind of what I'm hearing, it the ministries at SMU are growing anywhere from 30 to over 100% regular attendance from what it was like last semester. This is massive. So I am very excited to see that happen at SMU. And that's been something that me and a lot of other students have been praying for since freshman year. So it's so cool to see those prayers being answered over the course of our time at SMU. So that's one. So that's a huge thing. The other big thing. So the Rethinking Outreach Conference was fantastic. Got to meet a lot of new people, and it was just really great information. After the live stream ends, I'm going to go in and add the links to two of the talks that were given. And yeah, it was just a fantastic time. I'll also add the link to the Q&A again. Just all in all, a fantastic time. So in terms of what's coming up, after we finish Fault Lines, I'm going to take a couple weeks off because of school and just kind of life responsibilities. In terms of doing book review type stuff, there's still going to be a couple of podcast episodes that come out. And I'll talk about those in a second. But the next book that we are going to be reviewing is a book by Daniel Henderson. It is called um, it is called um, it's rather not the title. I'm going to talk about what it's talking about. Um, it is about kind of some of the larger longings of our soul. So it gets into curiosity, identity, and a whole bunch of other things. I'm reading through it right now in preparation for something that's coming up in October. Mark Lambert and Liberty Hill Baptist Church have been kind enough to invite me back to give a talk on identity. I'm super excited about that. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of it. I am in the middle of prepping and writing, and just kind of really prayerfully going through the process of preparing for that talk. So I'm very, very excited to be able to share kind of the insights God has given me through both my experience at college, things I've learned at college, and also script, and most importantly, Scripture. Looking at kind of what is a Christian identity and how have worldly philosophies corrupted our understanding of that. So setting that aside, the next book review is going to be a book by Daniel Henderson. And so super excited for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I've really, really enjoyed doing the fault lines one. We've got a couple more to go. We've got episode 10 coming out later this week. As far as things that are coming up on the podcast, so I am still reaching out to work and kind of get together to collaborate with for episodes some Christian philosophers to start digging into what is Christian philosophy, what is Christian epistemology, all of these kinds of topics. We're also going to dig into Christian philosophy of the mind, talk about what is Christian physicalism, what is Christian dualism, and you'll learn about what all those different words mean as we go through those different episodes over the next year. Um, another thing that we have coming up, we have two very special episodes coming up. These are things that I'm not going to do very frequently, but I think they're important. So one, there is going to be a roundtable discussion that I am facilitating between faculty members at Southern Methodist University on the situation in Afghanistan. So we have an Islamic studies expert. We have and that is Dr. John Lamoureux. We have a expert on rhetoric. That is Dr. Benjamin Voth, who some of you are already familiar with through the podcast series we did earlier this summer. Then we have Dr. Matthew Wilson, who has previously joined us to talk about Christians and politics. And then a couple of people you don't know. Dr. Stephen Long, who was my theology professor at SMU. And he's done a lot of work with Christian nonviolence. And so he'll be kind of unpacking some of his perspective on the situation. We will have the Southern Methodist University chaplain, Reverend Lisa Garvin, coming in to offer some thoughts. And then also we will be having Dr. Jill DeTemple, who will be coming from and addressing kind of the more non-governmental organizations who are involved in Afghanistan and kind of some of the perspective on that. Very, very fascinating stuff. I'm very much looking forward to it. And we're going to kind of be getting into what is the factual situation and how should Christians be responding and how should Christians process through it. Those are kind of going to be the three key things that we're kind of dealing with in that roundtable discussion. That is coming in late September. So that's about a month from now, give or take a few days. And then in a couple of weeks, I will be joined by a European physicist. and he's an atheist. Um, and he and I are just we're not going to do a debate. I don't like doing debates in terms of on this channel. I enjoy debates in person and things like that. I don't think online debates are necessarily conducive or profitable at times. And so I will be he and I are just going to be kind of talking and one just clarifying, having genuine conversation and dialogue about his perspective on what he considers to be the logical inconsistencies of Christian faith. And so I'm very much very interested for that conversation. I'm like unbelievably excited about it. I am looking forward to it so much. So that's kind of what's coming up on the podcast. Um, and so outside of that, um, couple of things. Over the next couple of months, I'll be working on a couple of different blog posts that are a little bit more academic, starting to tackle some of the philosophy stuff we're going to be moving through over the next year. Um, I am also going to be starting to um, get ready for seminary a little bit more fully. So, in terms of what ministry looks like as a result, I'm going to be developing some new curriculum for apologetics and systematic theology that I'll be going through myself. And that curriculum will be made available in an early access form prior to it being published for those who are patrons at the um, who are supporting the research and above. Um, so Patreon. Why do I have a Patreon? So I have a Patreon because it is very, very difficult to do this kind of work um, and be focused on it. Um, Oftentimes there are some financial pressures in life. Everybody's familiar with that. And I'm not saying I need money. I don't. But I want to eventually get to the point to where some of the work that I'm doing isn't coming out of pocket all the time. And so the link to the Patreon is going to be there. This is all I'm going to say about it. But if you feel led and if you've enjoyed the podcast, if you think that I am doing something good for the Christian community, then I'd ask that you'd consider and pray about whether or not God is leading you towards supporting what I'm doing financially. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Um, and so, discipleship. For those of you that know, and for those of you that don't, you're learning about it now. A huge chunk of what I do with Christian Businessmen's Connection, CBMC, is discipleship. I disciple men. Specifically, I focus on college and young professional men. So I'm super excited to say that um, this month I have begun the process of taking two men through Operation Timothy. Operation Timothy is a multi-year process where you go through 3 books: memorizing scripture, reading philosophy, reading poetry, reading the Bible, and just really kind of exploring and really growing into maturity in the Christian faith. Discipleship is not a one-stop shop. It is a lifelong process. And so I am very excited to be to be going through Operation Timothy with Phil Carlson as a Timothy myself, but also having the opportunity to take 2 to 3 other guys starting this year through Operation Timothy, as a Paul, walking with them through the process as they're going through it. So I think that is everything. Oh, no, it's not. How you can be involved. I already mentioned the financial stuff. I'm not going to talk about it again. Um, the other thing is you can send me emails. You can comment on videos. You can share podcasts. Like, guys, if you think that I'm putting out good content and you like what you're hearing, or if you think it's just good, thought provoking stuff, share it, like it, comment on it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to a podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. Your participation as a community is a huge element of other people getting exposed to the material and me learning how I can grow to provide better content for you. Um, Now, then, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get an extensive amount of say on what the content is, but the quality of that content is largely determined by your interaction with it. So, what I will say is this: if you like the podcast, subscribe. If you like the YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment or dislike. Give me feedback, please. I'm not perfect. If you like the blog, like it, share it. I'm asking you guys this stuff because this is super important. This is super important for getting it out there. And so, yeah. Um, if you are interested, I am looking to kind of get a magazine up and running once or twice a year right now with a collection of anywhere between 8 and 15 essays, reflection pieces, opinion pieces, dealing with the relationship between apologetics and discipleship. And so we are going to be, I'm hoping that we can launch one in the spring. I was hoping for this fall, but I haven't quite gotten enough back for it. And I'm still looking, and I've got some tech stuff that I have to figure out because I want it to be an e-magazine on the blog. But I'm still figuring out how to do that. So we will get it figured out. I'm figuring it out, but we're still working on it. Okay. So that being said, this is it. This is the update. I'm going to start doing these about once a month. Because I think it's important for you guys to kind of hear what's going on in the background that you may not get exposure to all the time. But with that being said, this has been In Step with God. I am JT Martin, and I will see you next time. God bless.